Good morning. And it is. It's a beautiful winter's morning, more like spring than winter. Sunday morning. I've got work to do outside, but it's noisy work. And it's first Sunday of the month, and that means that the circuit priest that goes around to the little beautiful historic Spanish and Mexican land-grant churches, he's here. He's in my village. And I don't want to disturb the service. I thought, okay, I need to say some things in the DarkKnight, K-N-I-G-H-T, of the Soul series, and this would be a good time to do it. I want to talk about two things this morning. One is about broken pieces, and the other is about hope. I've reached a new stage in my process, one that I want to offer to you because I think it brings hope, but it's about broken pieces. In an earlier episode of this series, I talked about how I learned the hard way that a dark night is not necessarily about picking out one emotion and one event and figuring it out and seeking healing for that event. It's about the waves of emotion. It's about the waves of things that are buried inside of us, maybe from childhood, maybe from experiences in life. I think, in my case at least, it even goes back to past lives. It also goes to, I suspect that most people who are called, and I do think it's a calling, to go through the dark night of the soul are probably empaths of one kind or another. And right now, it's a tough time, especially for empaths. Because when you feel what's going on around you, and when the world is troubled, you can't help but be troubled with it. I also think there's an external element to the dark night of the soul. I know for the past 2 years, I've had strange experiences. Some people may just say it's a run of bad luck. And I do think there can be that. Sometimes just the mathematical chaos of the universe may determine that right now, it's your turn. Well, the past couple of years, I've had reprieves, been able to get by. It's largely been financial. I have a small business, and in general, I've talked to others, I don't think this is necessarily a good time for small business. Not as the government defines small business, because that's huge to me, but a real small business, just a little one-person shop. It's a tough time for small business. I've managed to get through. Even sought jobs, keep getting close, but don't get there. So I just muddle through as best I can. Part of that is I've had to eat pride in great quantities without benefit of salt and pepper, and that hadn't been a whole lot of fun. But it's helped me get where I need to be. It's helped me grow my soul. And I don't know about you, but I think that's more important. I was listening to another video about the dark night of the soul some time back, and it talked about, and I won't question your beliefs about this. I think everybody has to be based on your own understanding, but this individual was talking about it being a battle between good and evil for your soul. Maybe there's an element of that. And after I heard that video, I remembered the biblical story of Job and how God and Satan debated about if he really was a good man, and God let Satan throw all kinds of temptations his way until he lost everything, including his health, where he lived in the dirt with boils, and he had a friend that told him, just curse God and die. But he didn't. I thought about Buddha's many years wandering, nearly starving himself to death, seeking enlightenment. I thought about Jesus and his 40 days in the wilderness. I thought about the tradition of vision quest in Native American cultures. I thought about almost every culture as a time when you truly seek enlightenment. You have to undergo temptation. And I was laying, semi-meditating, thinking on this, and I thought something. I thought to whoever or whatever evil out there might be trying to own me. And I said, you might be able to destroy me, but you can't have me. I choose good. Even if it comes a time when a friend tells me, just curse God and die. I choose good. Okay, that's a little dark tangent. I want to talk about the new development in my process. It's about broken pieces. Because I had a phenomenal experience the other night. I had like most people, I had multiple unpleasant and a couple of truly horrific experiences in my childhood. One has haunted me for decades. And the other night I found not just the waves of emotions, but that particular memory came back as though it were present, as though it were now. And I have learned, and I can describe this, but it's a little bit like painting. You're not going to understand unless you've been there. But when the dark emotions come at you, it's our natural tendency, and actually our society teaches us to do things to run away from them, to escape it, to make it not pleasant. But I've learned to turn and embrace them. Grief, pain, anger, sadness, whatever it is, turn and embrace it. And say, what have you got to teach me? And something happens. Oh, it's not particularly pleasant at first, but something happens. And I've known that for a while, but the other night, it was magical. Because I physically felt, like a piece of myself that had been fragmented since that horrific experience came home. That broken piece was whole again, that it was part of me. And I realized that in a sense, at an emotional and spiritual level, I think I had been basically functioning for a long time with the equivalent of a fractured ankle. It made me limp. It affected my life. But that was whole again. And I can only describe the feeling as ecstasy. It felt like I created a piece of my prodigal self. And a lot of the emotional patterns that I had developed because of that little broken piece don't seem to affect me anymore. When something in the present happens that triggers that, I'm able to deal with that in the moment and let it go. It was so healing. And I've begun to realize that there are other fractured pieces out there from different life experiences that I'm ready to welcome home. I'm not sure how long it'll take. Maybe each one has to go through that process where I turn and embrace and say, what have you got to teach me? I don't know. But I know I'm better. I know I'm more whole. I feel like I'm a little closer through being the dark knight, N-I-G-H-T, and ready to be the dark, well, I don't want to say dark knight, the knight, K-N-I-G-H-T, that takes what I've learned in the darkness and helps to make my world better and the world around me better. To hopefully improve my own humanity and, by example, maybe help others as well. I know it's easier for me to stand against something or stand for something if I think there needs to be change, but also to do so without needing to vilify or destroy those who support an opposing view. I think I mentioned in an earlier video that a holy man, a wonderful priest, told me years ago the concept of living with paradox. That it's entirely possible for two people to have diametrically opposing views and both be right. But you have to live by your own understanding and your own consciousness. That's mainly what I wanted to talk about today. About broken pieces. About not being afraid of the dark night, of not being afraid of the emotions, of the feelings, of the understanding of the thoughts. About making the choice that no matter where the darkness may take you, choose good. Because in the end, that's the only way to find the light at the end of the tunnel. There'll probably be at least one more video because, I've talked before that going through the dark night, when people talk about it, frequently they talk about end results. And my illustration is it's a little bit like a kid going in to have their tonsils out, and what people keep telling them is there's ice cream. Guess what? There's ice cream. And I think probably the last video in this series, what we're going to focus on is the ice cream. Have a great day.